12 most incredible abandoned millionaires' cars. Owning a luxury car is a status symbol. I mean, it tells the world you have great wealth and taste, and you're not scared to show it. The world's rarest, most exclusive, and most expensive cars are valued higher than most of us pay for our homes. When you've made such an investment in a vehicle, the idea that you'd walk away and leave it behind one day seems crazy, but it happens much more often than you'd imagine. Today, we compiled a list of cars that are expensive, exclusive, and more importantly, abandoned. There are many reasons someone might abandon a luxury car, so let's dig out 12 of the most incredible abandoned millionaires' vehicles. Number 12, Lamborghini Diablo. This is an undignified end for a Lamborghini Diablo, rotting away in the field surrounded by goats. For many years, the luxury supercars have been in production with a run that began in the 1900s and ended in 2001. In total, however, only 2,884 were created. The others certainly enjoyed better fates than this discarded specimen, which was also painted in blue paint for unknown reasons, apart from being abandoned. Who would drive such a beautiful car into a field for the goats to admire and leave it there? We may never know the answer, but we look forward to someone coming forward and taking care of it. Number 11, Chevrolet Corvette Z06. Abandoning a car in a warehouse isn't as bad as leaving it to rot in fields, but it's still no way to treat a Chevrolet Corvette Z06. This find is the sort of thing that the TV show Storage Wars was made for. A couple living in Duluth, Georgia, USA made a winning bid on an abandoned storage unit, walled up the door to see what they had won, and when they saw the car, they couldn't believe their eyes. A whole Chevrolet Corvette Z06, and because it didn't have any documents, they initially believed it was stolen. But when the vehicle's identification was checked, it cleaned up. In 2009, it was bought brand new for $75,000, traveled just 720 miles, and ended up in the warehouse they bought until 2018. In this version of the Corvette, it is tuned for high performance and is considered to be a racing model with 505 horsepower, coming from a 7-liter V8 engine. We think we'd have been inclined to keep it, but the lucky couple decided to sell it at an auction where it fetched $57,000. Number 10, 1929 Racing Bentley. When urban explorers visited an old abandoned country house in Surrey, England, they found a real shock waiting for them in the barn. Gathering dust, a vintage 1929 Racing Bentley, the same make and model that used to result in regular wins for Great Britain in the 24-hour Le Mans endurance race, had been hiding there ever since 1985. It was originally bought by the grandfather of the property's last owner in the 1930s. Only around 1,800 of these cars were ever built between 1927 and 1930, and most of them have long since rusted away to nothing. The car was sent away to auction where an expert who surveyed it said that finding a Bentley of this kind in such good condition was the equivalent of finding a new painting by Rembrandt. Its estimated value to collectors is more than $400,000. Number 9, SLR McLaren. SLR McLaren is a supercar of excellent pedigree. It's a product of a time when Mercedes owned a stake in the British McLaren Group, and the two glamorous companies worked together to make incredible cars like this one with a 5.5-liter V8 engine. Sadly, this dusty and weathered model may never move again. It's in police lockup in the Czech Republic, where it's been impounded since 2011 after its owner was implicated in a complicated legal investigation. It can't be sold or otherwise moved on until the legal matter is dealt with, and so far, it's been going on for years. Surely there's somewhere better to store it than out in the open where it's starting to rust. Number 8, 13 Ferraris. Owning only one Ferrari may be the vision of many car enthusiasts, and some of you may be angry to find out that a whole fleet of 13 of them have been rotting in a Texas field for over 6 years. But there's a twist in the story. It wasn't the fault of the owner. All these cars belonged to a lawyer from Texas who was good at his job, made a lot of money, and loved flashy cars. He had Porsches, Lamborghinis, and a Rolls-Royce as well as his 13 Ferraris. In 2011, his life took a turn for the worst when he fell ill and could no longer drive his prestigious car collection. He chose to put them into storage, which he could no longer afford after falling extremely sick and going out of work. The result of this was the owner of the storage unit rolling his cars into a field, not even thinking to put protective covering on them. That's how the eclectic arrangement of Ferraris ranging from the Testarossa to the 348 and the Mondial came to be in this sorry condition. Number 7, Honda NSX. A pair of mushroom pickers out in the forest near St. Petersburg got more than they bargained for when they stumbled upon this Honda NSX camouflaged among the trees. The Honda NSX was a pioneering vehicle when it first launched in 1990. It was the world's first car to have its bodywork, chassis, and suspension all made from aluminum. The popular model stayed on the production line all the way through until 2005. It was immediately obvious that the car had been there for a long time. This was due to the moss beginning to grow in and around it. The condition of the vehicle wasn't bad, but it had one major issue. The engine was missing. Who drives a supercar into the forest, takes the engine out, and walks away? My mind would strike as a stolen vehicle, but checks on the vehicle revealed that it was built in Germany and then shipped to Russia, but no current owner could be located. Because of that, the custom design specialist custom crew have taken possession of it. They're going to put the engine back in and get this beautiful car back out onto the road. Number 6, Ferrari 275 GTB2 and Shelby Cobra 427. These two classic vintage cars narrowly avoided an accidental date with a wrecking ball. A stunning pair of a 1966 Ferrari 275 GTB2 and a 1967 Shelby Cobra 427 had been abandoned in a house barn since 1991. The barn sits in a wealthy area on dilapidated land and was supposed to be demolished to make way for new homes. But luckily, someone decided to look inside first. Both vehicles have less than 20,000 miles on each clock, and insurers believe that their total value exceeds $4 million. The Cobra in particular is a special model. Instead of a regular 428 engine, it is equipped with a 427 racing engine. They're all a little dusty, but apart from that, they'd been perfectly protected from the harsh weather conditions, and the engines of both cars started up without any trouble. They're now in private collectors' hands. Number 5, Bugatti Veyron. The Bugatti Veyron was possibly the best status symbol car in the world when it was brand new. The exclusive and rare vehicles deserve to be gracing the streets and not rotting at the bottom of a lake. Here's a simple lesson for everyone. Crime doesn't pay. American car dealer Andy House paid in October 2006 $1 million for his Veyron, but insured it for $2.2 million. He purposely drove the car into a lagoon a month after completing the purchase, leaving the engine running to ensure it was completely damaged. He intended to falsely claim that he was involved in an accident and demanded the insurance money's full value. His alibi was that his view was distracted by a low-flying pelican. However, this was not his lucky day, as a vehicle enthusiast who spotted the Veyron was filming the whole thing. As a result, Andy found himself charged with insurance fraud as the Bugatti Veyron was taken to the garage for repairs. Number 4, Ferrari F50. The ultimate dream for many individuals is to purchase and drive a Ferrari. All in all, how did this one come to decay away under the blistering sun in the meadows of Ibadan, Nigeria? This isn't any old Ferrari. It's one of the limited edition F50. 349 F50s, which are known to be the last street vehicles with an F1 engine, were designed in commemorating the 50th anniversary of Ferrari in 1995. They never show up on an open market, and they're so important to collectors and enthusiasts that when one becomes accessible, the cost can go as high as $2 million. The abandoned F50 looks like it suffered in the sun, but it's still intact. Hopefully, somebody reestablishes it to its previous glory. Number 3, Ferrari Daytona Spyder. It's beginning to feel like there's at least one example of all the prototypes of Ferrari abandoned somewhere in the wild. This is a Spyder Ferrari Daytona, built in the 1970s. It has accumulated half-hidden dirt and dust in the grassland. The 1971 Spyder can be worth more than $500,000 in its pristine condition. It seems that at least some effort has been made to camouflage the car, but from the state of decline, it's clear that it hasn't been driven for some time. The doors and frame also remain intact, and the car's interior still looks current and right. The puzzle as to how it got there still bugs us all, but why didn't anyone ever come back for it? And with that, it's now time for today's best pick. Today's photo was sent to us by a subscriber, so if you come across a photo online and want to know more details about it, just send it over to us. We might even feature it in a future video. Number 2, Mike Tyson's Bentley in his abandoned mansion. The photo is part of what was captured at Mike Tyson's abandoned 13,500 square foot mansion in Southington, Ohio. Although he no longer owns it and it is now a place of worship, it is unclear if the abandoned Bentley in the photo belonged to Mike or Paul Monia, the businessman he sold his mansion to.
Nothing. And it was the guy with a broken arm. I said, sir, why don't you just take the car? You deserve it because you've been doing a lot. Because I didn't want to get arrested. I didn't have a license or anything. Right. And I didn't want my wife to get in trouble. I said, why don't you just take it?
Number 1, a fleet of Marussia Supercars. In a secret location in Russia, a whole fleet of Marussia Supercars have been abandoned in the open, slowly being taken for scrap piece by piece. The worst part about this is they've never even been driven. Marussia was supposed to be the future luxury car manufacturer, making exclusive F2 and coupe models. Some of the fleets with retail prices above $100,000 had already received pre-orders. They never made it to the point of auction. Marussia went bankrupt in 2014, and the company closed down everything on the production line. Some of these are some of the most unique concept cars in the world. What an insane waste! Hope you enjoyed our picks for the day.